You know, there's something nobody really prepares you for when it comes to aging. Sure, we all expect a few more aches, maybe a little less energy, but some things hit you out of nowhere. One day, you're going about your life, and suddenly, you realize, wait a minute, why didn't anyone tell me about this? I remember waking up one morning and thinking, why does my knee sound like a bowl of Rice Krispies when I stand up? And that was just the beginning. Over the years, I've learned that there are some harsh realities of aging that nobody talks about, until you're living them. So today, I want to share 7 of these brutal truths with you. Not to scare you, but to prepare you. Because if I'd known these sooner, I could have saved myself a lot of frustration, and maybe even a few unnecessary falls. Now, let's get into the first reality, because this one sneaks up on you when you least expect it. The first thing nobody warns you about? Your body doesn't bounce back like it used to. When you were younger, you could pull an all-nighter, eat a questionable hot dog from a gas station, and still feel fine the next day. But now? One wrong move, one night of bad sleep, one extra slice of pie, and your body acts like you've committed a crime against it. I'll never forget the time I helped my grandson move into his new apartment. I carried a few boxes, nothing too heavy, or so I thought. The next morning, I woke up feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. My back was stiff, my shoulders ached, and I swear my knees were plotting against me. It took me 3 days to recover from what used to be a simple afternoon of chores. And here's the thing, it's not just physical. Your mind needs more recovery time too. Stress hits harder. A busy day can leave you mentally exhausted in a way it never did before. But here's the good news, once you accept this reality, you can work with it instead of against it. Pacing yourself is key. Listen to your body. If it's whispering, slow down, don't wait for it to scream. Take breaks, stretch, and, this is important, don't compare yourself to the 40-year-old version of you. That's a losing battle. Instead, focus on what you can do, and celebrate those small victories. Now, the second brutal reality. Loneliness can creep up on you, even if you've always been surrounded by people. You might not see it coming. One day, you realize your social circle has gotten smaller. Friends move away, pass on, or just drift apart. Family gets busy with their own lives. And suddenly, the house feels a little too quiet. I went through this myself after I retired. At first, I loved the freedom, no schedules, no obligations. But after a while, I noticed how much I missed the daily interactions I used to take for granted. The quick chats with coworkers, the neighbor waving from across the street. Even small talk at the grocery store became something I looked forward to. The hard truth is, isolation isn't just lonely, it's bad for your health. Studies show it can affect everything from your heart to your memory. But here's what helps, making an effort to stay connected. Call an old friend. Join a club, even if it's just a weekly book group or a walking club at the mall. Volunteer. Or, if you're not the social butterfly type, even a pet can make a world of difference. The point is, don't wait for people to come to you. Reach out. And remember, it's never too late to make new friends. Some of the best relationships I have now started after I turned 70. Now, let's talk about the third reality, one that can really catch you off guard if you're not prepared. The third brutal reality. Your relationship with time changes, and not in the way you'd expect. When you're young, time feels endless. You put things off, thinking, I'll get to that someday. But as you get older, someday starts to feel different. Suddenly, you realize how precious time really is, and how quickly it slips away. I used to joke about being too busy to take up a new hobby or visit an old friend. But then one day, I looked around and realized, the friends I kept meaning to call, some of them weren't there anymore. The trips I kept postponing, my knees weren't as cooperative as they used to be. Time doesn't wait, and that's a hard lesson to learn. Here's what I wish I'd known sooner: don't wait for the perfect moment. That trip you've been dreaming about? Plan it now, even if it's just a short one. The hobby you've been curious about? Try it today. Call that friend. Say yes to the small adventures. Because the truth is, the things we regret most aren't the things we did, they're the things we didn't do while we still could. And if money or health feels like a barrier, get creative. Can't travel far? Explore your own city like a tourist. Always wanted to paint but worried you're not good enough? Grab some cheap supplies and just play. Time is the one thing you can't get back, so spend it in ways that light you up. Now, the fourth reality is one that surprises a lot of people: your senses start playing tricks on you. And I don't just mean needing reading glasses, though that's certainly part of it. I'm talking about the way food doesn't taste the same, how music doesn't give you chills like it used to, or how you suddenly can't hear conversations in a noisy room. I'll never forget the first time I realized I couldn't taste my favorite spaghetti sauce like before. I kept adding more garlic, more herbs, thinking I'd messed up the recipe, until my granddaughter said, "Grandpa, this is spicy." Turns out, my taste buds had retired before I did. And hearing? Oh, that's a sneaky one. You don't notice it fading until you're nodding along to a conversation you only half caught, or you start watching TV at volumes that make the neighbors complain. Here's the thing: ignoring it doesn't help. Get your hearing checked. Try those flavored seasonings to make food exciting again. Wear the dang glasses. These small adjustments aren't surrendering to age, they're reclaiming your joy in life's simple pleasures. Because here's the secret nobody tells you: adapting isn't defeat. It's strategy. The people who thrive as they age aren't the ones who stubbornly pretend nothing's changed, they're the ones who adjust and keep enjoying life on its new terms. Now, the fifth reality is one that can really shake you if you're not prepared. The fifth reality? It sneaks up on you in the quietest moments. One day you're looking in the mirror and suddenly realize, the person staring back at you doesn't quite match how you feel inside. There's this strange disconnect between your youthful spirit and the face time has given you. I remember when this first hit me. I was helping my great-granddaughter with her homework when she asked, "Grandma, what did you look like when you were young?" And without thinking, I said, "Honey, I still am young." We both laughed, but later I stood in front of the mirror really looking, really seeing the lines, the silver hair, the hands that tell stories of decades. It was jarring because inside, I still feel like that 30-year-old who could dance all night. Here's what I've learned: that disconnect never fully goes away. But the magic happens when you stop fighting it and start embracing it. Those laugh lines? They're proof of joy. Those silver strands? They're your crown of experience. Your body may be aging, but your spirit doesn't have to. Dance in your kitchen. Wear the bright colors. Try that new hairstyle. The most vibrant seniors I know aren't the ones who look youngest, they're the ones who refuse to let a number dictate how they live. Now let's talk about the sixth brutal reality, the one that can catch even the most prepared among us off guard. Your independence becomes more fragile than you ever imagined. Little things you took for granted, driving at night, carrying groceries, even getting up from a low chair, can suddenly become challenges. This one hit me like a ton of bricks after my hip replacement. I'd always been so capable, so self-sufficient. Then suddenly I needed help to put on my socks. I'll tell you, that was a bitter pill to swallow. But here's what that experience taught me: accepting help isn't weakness, it's wisdom. And planning ahead for these changes isn't being pessimistic, it's being powerful. Start making small adaptations now before you need them. Install those grab bars in the bathroom while you can still do it yourself. Try out that walking cane before you actually require it. Think of it as a tool, not a surrender. Have honest conversations with family about your wishes for the future. Because here's the beautiful truth: when you plan for these possibilities, you're not giving up your independence, you're protecting it. Now, the seventh reality is perhaps the most surprising of all. The seventh reality, the one that shocks most people, is that society starts treating you as invisible. One day you're in a store, or at a family gathering, and you realize, people aren't really seeing you anymore. They talk over you. They dismiss your opinions as old-fashioned. They pat you on the hand like your thoughts don't matter. I'll never forget being at a tech store last year, trying to buy a new tablet. The young salesman kept directing all his explanations to my daughter, as if I couldn't possibly understand. Never mind that I'd worked with computers for 30 years. That moment stung more than I expected. Because here's the painful truth, the world often treats seniors like furniture, present but unimportant. But listen to me carefully, this is where your power comes in. You have two choices, you can fade into the background, or you can insist on being seen. How? Speak up, clearly and unapologetically. Dress in ways that make you feel vibrant. Stay curious, nothing shatters stereotypes like an older person asking smart questions about new technology. Most importantly, surround yourself with people who value your wisdom. Because your voice matters, now more than ever. Now that we've faced these 7 brutal realities head-on, let's talk about how to not just survive them, but thrive despite them. Because here's what they don't tell you, aging isn't just about loss. It's about gaining perspective that younger people simply can't have. Take that first reality we discussed, your body not bouncing back like it used to. Yes, that's frustrating. But it forces you to develop something priceless, self-awareness. You learn to listen to your body's signals. You discover the joy of moving for pleasure rather than punishment. That afternoon nap? Not laziness, wisdom. And that loneliness we talked about? It pushes you to cultivate deeper connections. At this stage of life, you don't have time for superficial friendships. Every relationship becomes more intentional, more meaningful. There's a special kind of comfort in conversations where you don't have to explain your history, where just a look communicates volumes. Let me share something I've learned the hard way. The key to navigating these realities isn't fighting them, it's reframing them. That mirror that shows an older face? It reflects someone who's earned every laugh line. Those moments when you need help, they become opportunities to let people show their love. Even that societal invisibility, it gives you the freedom to be your authentic self, no longer constrained by others' expectations. You know what I've discovered about all these brutal realities we've been talking about? They're like this pottery wheel behind me. At first glance, they might seem messy and hard to control, but with the right touch, you can create something beautiful from what feels like chaos. Let's start with something simple but powerful, your daily routine. When your energy doesn't bounce back like before, structure becomes your best friend. I used to fight this, wake up at different times, skip meals when I got busy, until I realized I wasn't being spontaneous, I was being self-sabotaging. Here's what works, anchor your day with 3 non-negotiable pillars: movement, nourishment, and connection. It doesn't need to be complicated. A 10-minute stretch when you wake up. A protein-rich breakfast. One meaningful conversation, even if it's just a phone call. These become the framework that keeps everything else from crumbling when life gets shaky. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, asking for help. Oh, how I resisted this. I'd rather struggle for 10 minutes with a jar lid than admit I needed assistance. But here's the perspective shift that changed everything. When you refuse help, you're robbing someone else of the joy of giving. Try this exercise. Next time someone offers to carry your groceries or help with a task, say yes. Then pay close attention to how it makes them feel. You'll see their shoulders straighten, their face light up. We've been conditioned to think independence means doing everything alone, but true strength is knowing how to receive gracefully. Start small. Would you read this menu for me? The lighting in here is terrible. You'll be amazed how doors open when you let people in. About that invisibility we discussed, technology can be your secret weapon against it. Now, I know what you're thinking. I'm too old for all these gadgets. But hear me out. Learning one new tech skill a month keeps you relevant in ways that demand respect. Last winter, I taught myself to video edit so I could make birthday montages for my grandchildren. Not only did it keep my mind sharp, but suddenly the kids were coming to me for tech advice. Start with what interests you: video calls to see faraway faces, audiobooks when your eyes get tired, or even just mastering the camera on your phone to capture beautiful moments. Each new skill is armor against being dismissed as out of touch. And when frustration hits, because it will, remember, every expert was once a beginner. My first YouTube video took 6 hours to upload upside down. Laughs, but now? Well, you're watching this, aren't you? All these strategies have one thing in common: they're about playing a new game instead of struggling with the old rules. In our final part, we'll talk about perhaps the most important tool of all, the one that can transform how you experience every single day of this chapter of life. There's a question I've been asking myself ever since we started this conversation together: what if the most brutal reality of aging isn't what happens to us, but the stories we tell ourselves about it? Think about it. That stiffness in your joints, is it my body breaking down, or is it my body whispering its hard-earned wisdom? That moment when your grandchild has to repeat themselves, is it I'm becoming irrelevant, or is it we're creating space for patience and connection? This is our final and most important tool: the power to rewrite the narrative. Because here's the truth nobody tells you: you're not just living your golden years, you're authoring them. Let me show you how this works in practice. Remember our first brutal reality: your body doesn't bounce back like it used to? The automatic story might be, I'm falling apart. But what if we rewrote that to, my body is teaching me the art of pacing? That loneliness we talked about? Instead of, nobody needs me anymore, try, I now have the luxury of choosing only the most meaningful connections. Even that feeling of invisibility transforms when you tell yourself, I've graduated from seeking attention to exercising influence. This isn't positive thinking, it's power thinking. It's recognizing that while we can't control every aspect of aging, we absolutely control what meaning we assign to it. Here's my challenge to you tonight: take one of those brutal realities that's been weighing on you and rewrite it 3 different ways. Not as affirmations, as possibilities. For example, instead of, I can't do what I used to, try 1. I get to discover new ways of doing things. 2. My experience helps me work smarter, not harder. 3. I'm learning the subtle art of effortlessness. Keep the versions that resonate. Discard the rest. This isn't about fooling yourself, it's about freeing yourself. We've walked through some hard truths together these past 6 parts. But here's what I need you to know: aging isn't happening to you, it's happening for you. Every wrinkle is a life lived. Every limitation is a lesson in creativity. Every goodbye is space for a new hello. Your story isn't winding down, it's deepening. And the most beautiful chapters may still be ahead. So keep writing boldly. Keep editing fearlessly. And remember, the best narratives always leave room for surprises. Now I'd love to hear your stories in the comments below. Which reality resonated most? How have you rewritten your narrative? Let's create a living library of wisdom together. And if this conversation mattered to you, pay it forward, share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Until next time, keep authoring your masterpiece. I'll see you out there.